Alright, so we're having daily progress with the beams swap project and have the fuel tank pulled out. And so here's what that looks like. Again, it's so easy to work on this stuff with the lift. I'm loving it. And engine bay prep is going well. Basically just pulling stuff out, motor mounts, and just getting it all ready to be able to clean it and replace hoses and whatnot, redirect some things, took some coolant lines out of here, and we'll be replacing the old fuel lines with some new ones that I made. So the engine bay is getting there, almost ready to just clean. But the project for today is upgrading the fuel pump. So with the beams motor, with the turbo motor, or with the 2GR motor, a higher capacity fuel pump is needed. And for this one, I'm going back with the Walbro, and the one in my 2GR car whines so loudly, especially once the car's hot. And so I'm not sure why I went back with this one. I guess just because I know that it's a good one and that it's capable. So we're just gonna go with that. Have a little sleeve for it that's supposed to keep the noise down and insulate it a little bit, but obviously it doesn't work too well on the 2GR car. So the process is to remove the hanger with 8 mil wrench there and a 10 mil right here to remove these lines. It all comes off as a unit, so we're going to do that next. There's some fuel left in the tank, maybe 1.5 gallons or so. I was surprised to find out on this 93 NA car that the tank does not have a drain plug at the bottom. I'm not really sure which cars have a drain plug and which ones don't, but this one did not. So fortunately, I'd run it down pretty empty and there wasn't a whole lot of fuel to have to manage as I took the tank out, but still kind of dripping here. That's what that looks like. And I just have to show this. I have never seen such a clean tank. It is just brand new looking. How do I even show in there? Anyway, super clean tank. That's nice. All right, so 7 and 8 millimeter wrenches take the little nuts off the top of the filter. To remove the filter, this section of hose needs to be removed. So I'm gonna cut it with a razor, and that'll allow the pump to move up and out of where it's seated down here. All right, so I noticed immediately that I don't think I needed to replace this at all. Obviously, this is the one that came out of the NA car. Here's the one that, that came with the beams swap package. So this is the stock OEM pump for the beams, and this is my NA. The part numbers are very similar to the point where I suspect that this one's just the new version of that, just superseded it in part numbers. I'm not sure about that, but I am not sure that this tiny Walbro, I think it's the wrong one anyway. I assumed it was the same offset one. I'm gonna pull all these out, set them side by side, and we'll compare. All right, so these are all the pump options. These are the exact same Walbro pump, except that the inlet and outlet are in different orientations. So this is an easy mistake to make, to order one or the other. And that is precisely why I have this one, because this one is incorrect. So when this one is seated and the inlet here from the filter side is where it's supposed to be, this one is in line with it, but it's offset from where it needs to be. So there's a mismatch of alignment there. The other Walbro pump, which would sit like this, has this end basically in line here. So the little section of hose just connects it, and that's all good. So the decision I have to make is, am I gonna go with the Walbro, put a new pump in here now that I took it all apart, or am I gonna go with the stock beams, which is unproven? I don't know if this actually works, but I assume that it does because it has low mileage, as the motor does, and it's just correct. So I need to make a decision, put one or the other in, and trust that it's the best choice. All right, as much as I would like to go with the original corresponding pump for the beams, I have to go with the brand new Walbro pump because it's such a pain to take these tanks out. It's a big job, and I just want it to be sure and reliable. So we're going brand new. The final product came out nicely. Here's how it all goes. Black to black, of course. Use the provided crimp connectors, and also did a little heat shrink over that. The process of putting this on, I put a little Windex on it to slide it all the way up to the top, and that gave me the room to slide it back down over the pump once it was on. I'm going to reuse the hanger seal because it is clean and supple. It's not cracked. It wasn't stuck. So what I am going to do is kind of condition it a little bit with this Shin-Etsu grease, same stuff used on the T-top seals, just to make sure it's nice and soft. And this should go back together as easily as it came out. Well, that went well with a little bit of a mix-up, a little bit of a hang-up there, but I feel confident with the choice of the new pump, and it's all in there and ready to lift the tank back up into the car and go on to the next step. So we'll see what that next step is. All right, it's a mess everywhere, but I have a lot to update. The status is that we confirmed from some forums that the Walbro 255 is going to be okay. So the tank is back in. The higher pressure from the upgraded fuel pump should be regulated by the built-in regulator on the beams. So we'll just see how that goes. But all these little hose sections have been replaced, new clamps, the new fuel line here, new fuel filter, a little bit of insulation. So everything's cleaned up, looking nice. Talking about cleaned up, The engine bay is looking very nice. Got this beam specific fan installed. Hopefully that works. Also wrestled a little bit. There's a strange elbow that goes through the rubber liner on the intake there and actually goes up into the inside of the car. I'm not sure exactly how it works. I think maybe the newer cars have a vent under here that goes up and around the wheel well, but I just left it off and it's just going to pull in air from that vent like normal. The beam's charcoal canister is in, and that's where we're at. We're about to get this thing in. Exciting!